So, Nick, they're only going to be able to hear you if you're talking into your mic, and you've got a headset there.
Oh, grab me a koozie, Rich. Might as well grab me another one for backup, just in case. I wasn't going to drink, but whatever. It just doesn't feel right.
Well, hello there. Good afternoon, everybody.
There's Nick. I can't see it. All right. Are you on Facebook Live? I'm going to go on Facebook just to see.
Nick, can you hear me okay in your headset?
Yes, sir.
Do you want, I can give you more volume if you like. I can go up and down.
It's
right there's good.
a little less.
Less. Check.
Good.
A little less.
Check.
Perfect.
Check. All right.
Bump me up a little bit.
Eric, you ready for a little
Check.
volume?
Check. That's good.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, we're doing our check right now. I know we just started the live, but it's nice to get things rolling for a couple minutes, let people sign in, and then we will actually
Abandon
ship. Do you have the feed?
Yeah, I got good.
So we usually put the feed on just to so we can monitor comments, and if people want to ask questions as we go, we'll try to catch those.
I just want to shout out to all my peeps out there. I love you guys. Thanks for all the love and support.
Love. You got to mute that, Eric.
Yeah, I'm going to move the camera back over to you to get more of you. Well, actually, you're fine. I can turn it a little bit. I don't think I'm shaving my beard tonight.
Can you mute that?
Chief Warrant Officer,
Can you mute that?
of the United States Coast Guard in Washington, D.C., Mario Lynn. Thank you. Thanks for watching, brother.
Nice. Got a good picture?
You're in there more than what you were. I'll see where I'm at.
I put a lot of beard octane
Yeah, it's a good
beard
picture.
stuff today.
Dude, you are looking fresh. I was going to say that.
It's called America.
I need some of that.
Oh, I know a guy.
Actually, I think I'm gonna get some of that beard octane because I do have a program that I use for this.
It's majestic.
It's taken me a long time, but
Well, it just so happens I have some samples in the truck.
oh, nice. That'll work out good.
What's it called?
It's called Beard Octane. My friends Joe and Heather Miller, they have a company. They're right here in Colchester, Connecticut, and they got also Beef Octane, which is some of the most amazing jerky on the planet.
Nice.
I'll get you some samples. And
That's good news.
You'll want more than a bag. You'll kill a bag.
I can't. I'm on a diet.
Me too.
It's not working out very good. All right, so I think our sound checks are good. I see we got a few people in. It's 2:03. We'll give it another minute or so. Eric, are you here okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I think my sound is good. I'm deaf, so I got mine cranked up to like volume 9.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a good picture right there.
Yeah, that works out good. How'd you do that?
Are you squeezing? I shifted down a little bit. I mean, are you good there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just shifted down closer to it and then squeezed you into the picture better.
You feeling the squeeze, bud?
This is exciting.
You're in there. All right, so I think we're all set. Can everybody hear us okay? Anybody that's listening, how's the audio? Because we're kind of hit or miss on this.
I don't know how I sound. I sound pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds good on our end. But
Yeah, we'll see if anybody
Facebook?
in Facebook land on live. The whole point of this is we're actually recording this for an audio, so 56 plus 1 is on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. We just so happen to figure out how to go live on Facebook, so it's kind of like an added thing. Dina says we sound good, so that's great. Danielle says she can hear us. All right, so I'm going to hit record on the audio side of it, and we'll get rolling. You guys ready?
I'm ready if you're ready.
And if you guys need a break halfway through, I can pause this. So
Okay.
I know we're drinking beer. We might need to take a little intermission.
Who knows? Maybe we'll even do a beer chug.
Chug for the Mutter Putters. All right, here we go. What's up, plus ones? My name is Rich from 56 plus 1.
And I'm Eric from 56 plus 1.
We're excited today because we have a special episode of This is America. This will be our second edition. And we're lucky enough to have a guest seated to my left. His name is Nik Alevras. He's a local small business owner out of Salem, Connecticut, Two Brothers Pizza. He's a veteran. The guy's a humanitarian, a hell of a volunteer. Every time I talk to this guy, he's doing something. He's volunteering. He's out and about. He's raising money for veterans and people in need. But most of all, he's an American patriot. So we're honored to have you on the show, Nik. Thanks for joining us.
Rich and Eric, thank you very much for having me. It truly is an honor, and I'm very grateful.
It's awesome. Just take it back to how you and I met. We've only known each other for probably a few months now. Well, I guess it's been a little bit longer, maybe 5-6 months.
Yeah. Thank you, Justin, for introducing us. I remember this beautiful red and black Harley Davidson sitting in the front of the restaurant, and I'm admiring it, and I was like, wow. So I come inside, and I see Justin, and he goes, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend Rich. I'm like, is that your motorcycle that's there? He goes, yeah. I'm like, I think I just hit it with my truck.
And I was going to stand up and beat your ass, but you're about 6 feet taller than me, so I see you walking over. I'm like, oh, man, who's this guy? I didn't know who you were.
It was funny. I'm like, this guy's, look at the size of his pecs.
Oh, my God.
Like, wow.
You got to be kidding me.
And then I got to sat down and started talking to you, and that was it. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was truly amazing. One of the things I noticed about, as soon as I walked into your restaurant, I looked around and the decor and the memorabilia and the things on your wall, and you're very veteran oriented. You do a lot for the veteran community. You had patches, coins, pictures. You had signed autographs from people that have been involved. We call them heroes, but I guess the people that are in the action at the time wouldn't consider themselves heroes. But there's some people that were in the shit, and that's really what I consider a lot of your life is revolved around.
Yes, I grew up with a lot of friends, acquaintances serving in the military. Some are retired, some are still serving. It's interesting because a few years ago, my friend Joseph at the time was just a customer, and he would sit silently watching me, rearrange the patches and the memorabilia, and he was feeling me out. What I found out about a year after, he came to me. He goes, "I'm ready to give you my patches. I've been watching you closely, and you're not just one of those guys just putting up a bunch of stuff so you can get more customers." So I'm like, "No, sir, that's not who I am. Each patch, each like hat or something is part of them, part of their service. It's on loan. It's on the wall because I appreciate them as people. They're patriots. They've probably signed on the dotted line and put themselves in service of this great country, and not really, that's it." And come to find out, he was 3rd Ranger Battalion, 10 years of really hardcore combat. Humble as pie, super nice guy. He's been through the ringer tenfold. And for someone of that magnitude to watch me and actually look at me as a person, say, "Wow, he's really not about himself, and he's doing the right thing," that means the world to me.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah, that's great. And that's just one story, and I've heard a few stories from you, and there's a lot of people like that you are acquainted with, that that you help out. It's amazing what you do for the veteran community. And one of the things I want to ask you is, like, what brought you into that? What drives you to be the person you are today? How did you get started? Where did you come from? You mentioned you're in the restaurant business. You own Two Brothers Pizza in Salem, Connecticut.
I do. My brother and Alex and I and my family, we came over actually from Greece, 1976. Actually, it was September 11th, 1976. So it's actually a very bittersweet day for me.
Wow.
Both, being in this great country and also tragedy because of 9/11.
Right.
My Uncle Chris brought us over for actually a better future. My parents had a 6th grade education, but very smart people, street smart. We had a good education, but during high school, all I wanted to do was serve the United States military because I enjoyed the movies, and I'm like the camaraderie and watching friends go off to the military and how proud they were. And I'm like, how can I give back to a country that gave us so much? The military. But because I had an eye disability, long story short, I was denied and actually crushed my soul. And,
Yeah.
But during that process, and I understand now being older and somewhat wiser, that it's a business, and you don't want to spend more money than you have to. So at the time, because I was naturalized Greek citizen, I told my dad that I wanted to join the Greek military, and he looked at me like I had three heads and goes, "It's not what you think, Nico." And boy, he was right.
Why? What would you say is the difference in the Greek military that you're referring to?
Because they're conscripted, it's a draft. Nobody volunteers for the Greek service.
Okay.
Except for you.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of a rare breed. And I remember going to the U.S. Embassy and doing all my paperwork, and it was September, actually, after I graduated high school in 1990. I'm off to the airport. I get to Athens. About 2 days later, I'm with my uncle down at the recruiting station in Athens. And literally, the typewriters are going, phones are ringing. I talk to the duty sergeant, and he goes, "What's your name?" I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I mean, here's my transcripts. I'm like, I'm volunteering for the Greek military. It was like you could hear a pin drop.
He's like, what?
And somebody goes, "Who the hell wants to join the Greek military?"
That's
I'm
funny.
like, I do. So after they squared me away, they went to boot camp, and my MOS was mechanized infantry. No, I did not get to ride on tanks or fun stuff. I was support schlep, running next to the tanks, building fortifications, digging holes. But my main job was to put in and take out landmines.
Wow.
And it was, yeah. It was.
I bet you'd rather put them in than take them out.
I did learn a lot of things, but it was interesting. One day, the sergeant was actually teaching class. All the schematics were American military. We used all American schematics, American military hardware, tanks, everything. And I'm giggling in the back because he's had this broken English, Greekish thing going on. And he looks at me and he goes, "Alevras, what's so funny?" I'm like, "Well, you're not saying it right. You're not teaching it right." He goes, "You can do better?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." So he put me up front. I taught the schematics of how to properly put in landmines according to the U.S. military, Army military specs. And I did a really good job.
Wow. Well, you still have all your arms and legs, so I guess I can say you did a good job.
But when you do something like that, it bites you in the ass later on.
No, now you're the instructor?
I got KP duty for a week.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And what would you attribute that to? Is it because you were so interested in the military that you just really invested the time to learn and understand what you were doing?
Being denied in the U.S. military, I was hurt, man. That's all I wanted to do. And being a Greek naturally born citizen, I was like, you know what? Maybe this is my way as I can give back. Now, 53 plus years, what I've learned is that anyone can give back to the country they love. You don't have to be in the military, but you have to have a love for your country, love for the military, love for each other. And you can do amazing things, whether you volunteer once a year or 10 times a month. You can really do some great things and help people that need it. It doesn't have to be just veterans and their families. It could be someone in the community. It's people make it hard. It's really easy. If your neighbor needs a helping hand, just ask them, "Hey, Bob, do you want me to help you dig that ditch? Thank you. I would really appreciate it." That's it. It's free.
Right.
But everybody serves in the capacity that they can. Maybe I have a gift. I don't know, but I'd like to.
I think it goes back to your heart, though, Nick. At the end of the day, that's what I think a lot of this comes down to, and caring for people, right? And we don't see a lot of that in today's times. I would say, at least obviously in your community you're going to see that because they're like-minded people.
Yes.
But you get outside of that, there's a lot of self-serving interest and a lot of just I guess selfish.
Well, it's selfishness,
you're
right?
selfless.
It's greed, it's selfishness, it's a lack of compassion for other people. You're only concerned, only concerned about what's going on in your little world and your box, and you don't know that the guy next to you might have just lost his wife or a child or the dog died or whatever the case may be. And people are so quick to jump to anger and impatience. And you really need to sit back and reset sometimes and realize that we're all going through the same struggle. We all have the same battles. We all have the same problems. There's nobody on this planet that's going through anything different than anybody else other than, some people might have a little more money. Some people might have a bigger house. Yeah. But we all get up and put our pants on the same way. And we're all going to die.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thanks for bringing that
just so you know that in case you guys forgot.
But it's important to learn how to live. Because
it is.
You really do have only one chance to do it right. So why would you do it wrong?
Right.
I'm like, hey, it's a beautiful day now. Why are you going to sit inside and just watch TV? Go outside. Get some sunshine, man. Do something productive. And then, you know what? Split the day. Come back inside and hang out on the couch.
Yeah, let's drink a bunch of beers and do a podcast.
Which is amazing. Some of the best ideas on the planet.
Here we go.
Cheers, brother.
I'll drink to that. Eric?
I'll give
you you are.
Diet Pepsi.
Cheers. Cheers.
One of the biggest things after 9/11, the country was so united. United we stand.
It was amazing.
How quickly that dissipated. I'm like, do we need a catastrophic event so people can get united again? No. The answer is no.
Right.
It's easy to be a good neighbor.
It is.
It's this is actually he's tying into a key point of 56+1. It's principle of getting we talk about our founding fathers. A lot of these guys didn't get along in person per se, but they understood that they had to put their own self-interest aside for the betterment of the society and what they were trying to build. And it was new. It was a never done before idea that was put forward.
Right. Absolutely, and it hasn't changed just because 300 years later, it's everyday life. Every day this happens. So, stop living in the negative and try to be a better person, not just for yourself, but your loved ones, your family.
Well, there's another principle by the founding fathers. They wanted a virtuous society, and virtue requires self-judgment, right? And then trying to strive to be better. Whatever it is that you're doing. It could be something little. Just in our instance of podcast, we've continually strive. We're not radio hosts. We don't have any college background or any training in this. We listen to ourselves. We're honest with ourselves, and we try to be better. And just even something small like that, or looking back on, I shouldn't have acted that way, type of thing. And I think Todd hit on this in the last podcast: is say sorry, right? Whether it's saying sorry to yourself and what you should correct and be that virtuous person. So I think that's kind of leading back to the same thing.
Well, and to say sorry means you have to do a lot of self-reflecting, right? And that's a hard thing to do. To admit that you have faults, to admit that you're wrong, and then to verbalize that and say sorry to somebody, it takes a lot.
But mean it, right?
You have to mean
it. You have to mean it.
Right.
Because everybody uses sorry like it was
a filler word,
yeah,
or just a way to buy into someone else's compassion or heart again. But like I said, going back to the last podcast, sorry to me means I won't do that again. That's
until next time,
right? It takes the action point of it, right?
My wife is in Honduras right now on a medical. Not retreat. It's almost kind of like Doctors with Nurses Without Borders. It's her work. She's volunteering her time to work in the OR to help people that can't afford it. So they do all kinds of surgeries. It's amazing what these people do.
Well,
when I think of humanitarian, I think of my wife or people like her that are doing this. And I've I've screwed up in the past few years and thrown out the word sorry, but really didn't mean it. Now I'm trying to be a better person for myself and my wife.
Oh, there's that virtue again.
Yeah, and because of her is why I'm here. She's taught me a lot about myself, and I've become a better person because of her.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it just goes to show you what kind of people you are. Now, here you are, your wife left the country to go do humanitarian things, and
he's here drinking.
He's here drinking beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So I could say that about my wife as well. I mean, I can been pretty hard headed at times, and yeah, it does make you self reflect, and you look at how many times they're compassionate towards us as men, and we come into the world and we have certain mindsets, but then there's that adage of, there were two adages, I guess I'll say, is one, she kept me honest, and two, she's the better half, right?
Yeah.
I also think that goes both ways, right? You learn from each other, and I'm sure she has.
What makes you the best team, because you feed off each other. You know, you're in the thick together day in and day out.
Right.
I wish sometimes I applied that more often in my life, but I'm happy that I did now with her.
That makes you a very intelligent, experienced, middle-aged man.
That sounds amazing. Can I put that on my resume?
Oh, absolutely. So, so we kind of talked about your service in Greece, and so now you're in the U.S. You guys immigrated to the U.S. Did you have to obtain your U.S. citizenship, or were you? How did that work for you?
No. We went through the process. I was in the 4th grade when my parents brought us to the courthouse at the state capitol in Hartford. And I remember being in this giant hall with a judge up front and hundreds of people where you actually had to know the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
And standing up there, and I remember holding my mom's hand, and I was in pure awe, not really knowing what was going on, but it was such a powerful feeling for such a young person. And, for people coming to this country and going through the legal way of becoming an American citizen, or if you can, joining the military to do your service so you can obtain your citizenship, which is also very commendable. And I'll never forget it. By 7th, 8th grade, it really hit me like a brick to the face of what it really meant to become an American citizen.
Nick, that's a key point. And Rich and I have talked about this. Both of us serving in the military, we took the oath to defend the Constitution, and at a young age, I think we swore in with a bit of naiveness, thinking that we obviously did serve the Constitution, but we didn't know what it said.
Right.
So it's kind of funny how you can take an oath. Now, going back to your point, when you're immigrating into the U.S. legally, these are fundamentals that are given to you. Your parents had to test for them. I don't know. Did you take any tests as a kid?
No, we were too young.
Okay. So I've met some other immigrants in their older lives, and they talk about the Constitution,
right.
and I was shocked by how much more they knew than I did, and here I am as an American. So we take that for granted, and that goes back to, again, 56+1 is getting back to the principles of what were we founded on? Who were these people that founded us? Why? What is the importance of the Constitution? And I do give a solid amount of appreciation for immigrants that come to this country and go through that, and they oftentimes know more than most Americans do about their own country.
I was just going to bring that point up, because now you have some very small-minded people they're naturalized citizens because of the fact that they were born in the U.S., but you have these refugees and in other cases just people that want to come for the better life, the idea of America, and they know more as foreign citizens becoming U.S. citizens than people that were born here. And shame on the naturalized Americans for not knowing the history.
I agree.
Like you said, Eric, we swore the oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States at 18 years old. Well, I was 17 when I actually swore the oath, but asked me what any of the articles or any of the Bill of Rights meant, I had no idea. I mean, I had no clue. I just wanted to be in the military.
Yep.
And I have an appreciation for it now that I'm older. And like you said, Nick, there's certain things that happen in your life that shape who you are today. And, you know, at 50 years old, I can say I know more about the U.S. history and the Constitution than I did when I was in high school learning about it. So
Agreed, but
it's
also,
important.
It's also like people like yourselves that do the hard work and research and put it out for the rest of the world to see. 56 plus 1 is not just a bunch of numbers and letters put together. You're teaching what we should already know.
Well, and we've learned a lot from ourselves from doing it. I agree. We should already know it. So that brings up the question: is why isn't this being taught in school? For instance, your rights, and we have opinions on it. Oftentimes, political opinions. Personally, we try to stay very neutral with it, albeit we have our own views. But we want to have these types of conversations. Yeah. Not with just people that are on the same side of politics, but other Americans, and make sure that the principles that we're working from are founded on the same moral compass, I guess, you know. And
we can all agree to disagree, and that's fine. That's who we are as people. But I might not agree with you, but I'm going to listen to what you have to say, because maybe in that process I'll learn something, and that is the most important thing.
Or at least something to come back and say, well, here's how you're looking at it, but this is why I'm looking at it this way, and then it opens it up to that listening. But at some point, you have to establish some ground rules and principles. Like, it's not just. I talk to a lot of people, and it's more about personal feelings, and the personal feelings don't make up America. America's made up of there's many different personal feelings, but you have to come together for the common good, right? What is actually better for all of us as a whole, not as necessarily the individual, albeit I believe and personally the Constitution itself breaks out these individual rights, which we all have, but you can't take those rights and give them to one person and take them away from another, or group for that matter. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, that absolutely makes sense.
No, you are, because it actually sparked something up that I learned many years ago, is that, I don't care what religion or what party you belong to. At the end of the day, it's about people working together for the common good. Like, how do we fix it? And this example pops up in my mind. It's about building a sidewalk. Left side wants it on this side. The right side wants it on this side. In Germany, before they even put in a sidewalk, they see where the foot traffic is in the grass and dirt. And
that's where it goes.
Yep. And then they build the sidewalk. Common good for everyone.
That's right. That makes sense.
And instead of building it on the left side that nobody ever uses, why would you do that? They have watching people within a week, and they'll build the sidewalk according to where the majority of the people go. That's smart.
That's bettering the community. That's for everybody, for all, equality.
Right. So you don't, we all have our ideas about where it should go, but at the end of the day, it's about where do all of it go? Where do we move to,
right,
without destroying something?
This sidewalk and the difference in how we do it here. I was watching a video it was to do with a public restroom, building a public restroom in San Francisco. And I think it was a toilet. I don't know if it was a whole restroom with all fit out, but nonetheless, it came out to a $1.7 million expenditure, right? Now, I don't know what a $1.7 million restroom looks like, but
I'm going to assume it's amazing.
Right. In the end, it came out that it wasn't. And so this, I think a group or one individual said, listen, I'll donate the materials, the toilet, the whatever, the things that were needed to build it. And he donated something else to it. And then the local government came back and said, well, it's still going to cost us $1.2 million. And they were like, what are you talking about? And they said, well, most of it goes to management, goes to general oversight of the project, the bureaucracy of it. And so that we have to come to a realization that that's gotten so far out of control. We need to get back to common sense.
Yes.
And that's what you were alluding to there, saying you're not going to build it on the left, you're not going to build it on the right. Let's look at what's being used and let's make it manageable for everybody that's using it, right? I don't use the sidewalk or the bike paths, which a lot of people use, but hey, there are people using it, so you got to go with what's reasonable.
Well, if you want to be in a civilized society, it has to work for everybody, and that's the simplest way. It's just like you said, maybe you don't agree with everything that your neighbor does, but if your neighbor needs help digging a ditch, you're going to go over there and ask him, "Can I help you dig this ditch?" You don't care if he agrees with you politically or there's so many different things that make us individuals. We don't all agree on the same thing. We have different ideas. We have different opinions, ideologies, education, work lives, whatever. At the end of the day, it doesn't cost you anything to be nice to somebody.
It's free.
It's free.
Yeah, and that's it.
So, Nick, what got you into the restaurant business? I've been curious about that. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. So you live, I wouldn't say you're right around the corner from where we live, but you're within a reasonable driving distance. And my wife, she's kind of a foodie. And we've been down to your place a few times for dinner. And the chicken parm, and my wife is, I'm going to say she's 27. She's my age, but she's had her 27th birthday for quite a few years now. But she says your chicken parm is unmatched by any place she's ever eaten chicken parm in all of the United States.
That's huge. That's a tall order.
So,
because she definitely is a good judge of character. I've grown to be very fond of her. And, she sees through the bullshit. We had that conversation.
Right.
And for someone to tell you that your food's really good, that's a huge compliment. Customers ask me like, how good is your food? I'm like, honestly, I really can't tell you. I'm the owner. Of course I'm going to tell you
it's the best.
Good.
Right.
But is it? I'm like, the proof is in the pudding. Ask the person next to you. Why are they there all the time?
Right.
I'm like, I don't have it in me to have me like, yes, my food's the best. But
it is. But how did you get involved in the food industry, the restaurant business?
Oh, that's an easy one. I had no choice.
Landmines to chicken parm.
Well, when we came here, my uncle had a pizza restaurant in Colchester, the original Family Pizza, and my parents both worked there. Actually, my dad worked there, and my mother worked at nurse's aide at one of the convalescent homes.
Okay.
So, that's what brought us here is, the restaurant. So my father learned to train. My dad was a welder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's an excellent welder. But his brother had a restaurant, and he brought us over. He helped us do the paperwork to come over, and that's how it happened. Over time, I went to college for a little bit. I wanted to pursue a career in forest fire tree, but got the old Greek guilt trip. And
gotta help the family business.
He goes, we're giving you a business. I'm like, okay.
That was it.
My brother, and he's in the same boat. But it's been a rewarding job. Yes, the restaurant business is extremely tough. You give up a lot. And as one of the things is I work a lot more nights, so my brother could actually go home, and he has twin girls, so he can enjoy that time, because when you have kids, as you guys know,
right,
is like once they hit a certain age, they don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Right.
And so it's golden years. So enjoy it.
That's just another testament to who you are as a person. Look, it all takes sacrifice. At some level,
Absolutely.
It's either given and taken or taken and given, but it requires sacrifice. And yes, when you have kids, they take up a lot of your time. In my instance, my daughter played softball, and I didn't realize exactly how much time we were putting into this travel softball league until it was over. And then I was like, holy cow, am I glad that's done. I mean, I loved every minute of it. I'm not contradicting myself, but I think what happens is you become so immersed into this world not realizing how much of your time is actually going to it and looking back on it. But it becomes a relief when it is done. But it does require a lot of time, I think, is the point I was trying to make.
I'll tell you what, for you guys as parents, you're very lucky to be able to afford that luxury of actually watching your kids play. I remember growing up, I played soccer and goalkeeper for years, and my father and mother couldn't go. They were always at the restaurant. I didn't find out till years later through one of my old coaches. He goes, Nick, do you remember those really nice jerseys we got? I'm like, yeah. This is 28 years after.
Wow.
He goes, your father bought them. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? He goes, he promised me not to ever tell you. He goes, your dad would stand between those 3 pine trees on top of the hill. Even for 10 minutes, he'd come out of work. Even for 10 minutes to watch me play. And then he'd go back to work.
Oh, that's cool.
I was bawling at the bar like a little boy.
I wish I had a tissue right now, to be honest with you.
And I was like, but you never know that until somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of my dad for him being proud of me. So, you do what you can for your kids or what you have. You want to work hard so you can give them a better life than what you had, and vice versa. And that's all it is. Family values.
Yeah.
Goes a long way.
That story obviously stuck.
Yes.
For, you said 28 years.
Yep.
And
it still sticks. It's
that's
right, but I'm saying to him to be able to hold that as a call it a secret, if you will, but it stuck with him.
Yeah.
And thinking it and actually showing appreciation, telling you 28 years later. And that's the hard stuff you never get any kind of reward or thanks for the what I'll say, the real meaningful stuff often, until it's later on down the road. But everything in due time, and it does make you look back on it and appreciate it even a little bit more.
1,000%. Actually, one of the things that comes up to me from folks are, I appreciate like all the nice citations and the humanitarian, the Award of the Year, and so many other things. But it's not me. It's not what I seek. What drives me and what gives me purpose is like making somebody's life a little bit better, whether it's a cup of coffee or helping them move their house or the veteran program or whatever, fundraising, whatever it is. That's my reward, is that I know that I help them have a better day or better tomorrow than how they came into this. So if I had a reason to smile or get something, I'll take a hug or a beer and share it with you, because my purpose is to make sure that your next day or your next focus or your next mission, I was a part of that to make it better for you.
Right?
So
No,
maybe
I
you can
know.
make it better for someone else. Pay it forward.
So Nick,
That's amazing.
There's this adage: it's not what you say about yourself; it's what others say about you. And I'll admit, I don't know you as well as Rich does, or as well as many of these people on this Facebook page. And there's a lot of very kind comments that are coming through. But that's the point, though, right? It's not what you say about yourself; it's what others say about you. And I think those are pivotal or monumental moments in your life to make you look back, that every one of these little steps of appreciation or help towards somebody else, obviously it all adds up. You could throw 100 pennies in a jar and it adds up to $1 at some point, and
you're absolutely right. It's not, I'm not seeking stuff like that, but I am humbled and grateful that people think of this way of me. And I've come in contact with so many amazing people, and there's a couple people on here that they say they're on live right now, and they say like, Nick's helped me out more than ways than he will possibly imagine. Well, that's a two-way street, because they've helped me overcome some really deep, dark moments in my life, and so I'm grateful for that. I'm a hugger, so I like to hug everybody.
Yeah, I've hugged you a couple times, Nick.
Yeah, I mean,
I got to get on a step stool to reach up there, but
I'll pick you up.
Yeah, pick me up, little mini me. But no, it's great. I think I know you could use a refresher there. I think I'm going to pause the Apple podcast for a second. We'll take a quick break. We'll leave the live rolling, look through some of these comments, and we'll be back in a second.
All right, cool.
So yeah, we're clear from the Apple. So we're still on live, but yeah, we got a lot of great comments here. I'm just going to go back through a couple.
You look like you're about to cry.
You were going to cry. Were you? You almost made me cry, Nick, you bastard.
I got
man.
hay fever.
You know, I met a woman last year. I was at the Inishmore pub. I had just gotten my full knee replacement. Did not know her. I was sitting with my wife, my sister-in-law, and a few friends. I was only there for like an hour or so. And people coming up to me and like smiling and hugging me and shaking my hand or whatever. And the server comes over and he goes, "Can I talk to you for a second?" I'm like, "Yeah, sit down." She goes, "Don't look, but there's a lady there, white hair, older, probably in her 80s." She goes, "Who is that man?" And she goes, "Oh, that's Nick. He's one of the co-owners of Two Brothers in Salem." She goes, "Everybody in here wanted to shake his hand or hug him or kiss him." Or he goes, "That man is the luckiest man in this whole place combined."
Wow.
And I was like, I never even had a chance to talk to her.
Wow.
And I was like, she goes, "He's well loved." And you know what? There's been instances in my life where during COVID, I ended up at a Hartford hospital for 10 days.
Well, Nick, I don't want to cut you off, but
yeah.
let's record this.
Yeah, okay, I'll wait.
Let me. I'm gonna make you a drink.
Oh, wait.
Well, I was gonna say, what was your purpose of taking a break then?
Yeah, no.
No, it's all right.
Nope.
I got to use the restroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And I'm gonna get a Greek freak.
Things still rolling here. So.
We'll be right back.
Oh. Dude, this is great.
Dude, it's.
Oh my God, I love you guys.
Yeah, we love you too, brother. We're glad you're here. You don't want another one of those?
I'll drink the rest of that. Kind of wasteful. Your lovely wife and you made it. Dude, I haven't had Captain Cokes.
Good stuff.
I picked it last time I saw Rihanna. I think I'll have a Captain.
I like them myself, but just.
So I'm looking around your room. Things
You got it. Yeah. That's me. Little things that, yeah. Pretty casual, right? They better. Free while I'm up.
Stock up.
I see you're a big Boston Bruins fan.
I love the Bruins.
You got jerseys?
You got a couple.
All right.
Yeah, so Nick, I know you got your headset back on. You probably hear me better, but a lot of good comments. Danielle, best restaurant ever. Love working at Two Brothers. Nick does everything for everyone.
Danielle McGowan.
I think Danielle's been she's assisted us a few times when Rihanna and I have been down for dinner. She's a great woman. We appreciate her. Michael Abbott's Nick Airborne all the way.
Yeah, I love you, Midnight.
Nick Ransom, Nico, you glorious mutter putter.
Oh my God, I love these guys.
Let's see. Sean Tam, rare breed, I'll say.
Shantam.
Shantam, sorry.
Shannon Tamasitis.
Awesome. Let's see what else we got. Michael Abbott's keep making stories, Nick. Patrick Sullivan says you all are some fine Americans.
That's retired senior chief in the submarine service and also president of the Veteran Equine Therapeutic Services.
Okay, I met Patrick 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. He was wearing your
awesome.
You guys' red 56 plus
awesome.
1 at the vets therapy session on Saturday.
Love it. Thank you for being a +1. I got a comment here from Sean Rector.
Yeah, I love Sean.
And this one I read as we were going through the podcast, but it says, we as a country have failed to see ourselves as one. We have fallen down a path that if you don't agree with me or my opinions, that you are wrong. We've lost the ability to agree to disagree, but still be respectful and mindful of others' views. The political debating in the last 20 years has driven us from that view and now almost seems to promote being completely separate from people with other views. It's very sad.
Well, we look at politics, and I don't know who would disagree with this, but it's something that I've heard amongst the public, left, right, center, libertarian, what have you. There needs to be term limits on the congressional and senatorial. I mean,
1,000%.
Let's look at.
Yeah, so you know what? I wasn't going to record this portion of it, but I think I will because we're just going to jump right back into it. So, yeah, let's just roll it. All right, sorry for the quick intermission. We are back with Nik Alevras. It's Rich and Eric, and we're picking up on talking about some of the comments we had on Facebook. But one of the comments was about we as Americans have lost the ability to disagree without becoming basically enemies. So, Eric, what were you saying? You were talking about term limits on political positions, and
I think that's something that, at least amongst a majority of the people that I've spoken with, it seems to be a common denominator that everybody can agree on. I mean, term limits on the congressional and senatorial side are something that I think need to be adjusted in our terms. Right? We've got guys that have been in office, and just to name a few, Mitch McConnell as one, albeit he's retiring this year. You got Joe Biden from last year. He's been in they've been in office for 20% of this nation's existence. And I don't care whether you're Democrat or Republican, but if you've been in a political office for 20% of this nation's existence, then you have to come to the realization that there's a good portion of responsibility with that. And, I want to go back to our founding fathers, and many of them we talked about. They couldn't wait to get out. They did it for a service to the country. And today we've just gotten so far away from that it's, call it what you will, but instead of service to the country, it seems to be a lot more self-serving today, I think is the point that I'm trying to drive home, which is the point of this podcast, right? I don't think Nick's self-serving. I'm not talking about myself, but I'm not self-serving. I do a lot. I give back. I don't like to talk about it, but that's just because of my personal beliefs, and I'll let the people that know me say that about me.
Right.
But in our political theater world, it seems to be very self-serving. And I don't care what state you're from. I think that the politicians need to be at odds with each other to limit things. I think another thing that we can all agree on is, I don't know. I don't want to get into a political conversation, but I'm just saying general notes of stuff. Whereas I think a bill should be a bill. I don't think it should be on one subject. I don't think it should be buried into.
They get this packet of bills that are, bill number 1 has 743,000 parts, and you got to read through the pages and vote tomorrow morning.
So there's things that we, the people, can legitimately change if we can come together on these principles. I think is the matter. Forget the political divide. Just come together on the substance of the issue. And now you can literally go after a bill and discuss that one bill, not the bill in a million parts or 75,000 or whatever it is that you said that come with it.
It was a lot.
Right, a lot. So I don't know. I don't want to get into a political
I fully agree with that. I would say 1,000%. It's like working together to fix the problem at hand.
Right.
Really, I don't care
right.
how political party you are.
And the people that we're talking about, they want the division. Why? Because people divided, you can't get them corralled together.
Right. It's like herding
cats. Easier to
Like,
control.
come on.
Correct. Yeah. It's easy to control.
Correct. Right. So, Nick, you saw some of the comments, and we apologize for the quick intermission, but we needed a quick break. But
I'm happy all these amazing people are on and watching the show, and and having some fun, getting some knowledge, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good Sunday if you ask me.
I'm having a great time.
I'm gonna knock it up as one of the best since.
This is just the beginning, my friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once we get them Harleys out on the road, oh man.
And you're in luck because half the people watching are I ride with, especially Mike Abbott's.
Oh, beautiful.
Great story on this guy. Airborne. He actually jumped into Grenada.
Oh, wow.
During the 80s and fought the Cubans.
Mike, thank you for your service.
He's an extraordinary man.
That's awesome. When we talk about friends, we actually have a friend in common, don't we?
Which is so, talk about diversity and not knowing each other. But our friend Shannon Morgan, which you actually served
Shannon.
with. Morgan! Hello, Shannon!
Morgan!
You guys served together, I believe it was in England?
Yeah, we were at RAF Lakenheath in England. We actually, at the time, we were the Air Force. We didn't have barracks. We had dormitories.
Oh, you guys got the best living.
Yeah, we were doing pretty good. So right across the parking lot was where Shannon lived in the med dormitory, and I was in the maintenance dormitory. And we got to be good friends.
She's actually online right now.
Oh, is she on?
Yeah.
Good to see you, Shannon. So yeah, it was. We got to be really good friends, and we hung out quite a bit, and had a lot of laughs. And
she was blown away. She's like, "How is this even possible?" I'm like, "I don't know. Good people connecting the dots."
Small world, right? It's a small world. But I'm from New Hampshire originally, so whenever I met somebody and they told me they were from Connecticut or whatever other state, I mean, whatever, it might as well be Africa, from New Hampshire. I didn't leave the state, and when I realized that you knew her, I'm like, oh yeah, she's from Colchester, right?
Which is funny you say that because Mike Abbott's on here is from New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
He's from Derry.
Oh, he's from Derry.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm from the Lakes region up around the Laconia area.
And so is our good friend Frank O'Hanlon. We call him Thin Mint. Skinny. He's the only Puerto Rican Irishman I know, and he's skinny as a rail. He could eat literally 10 times my body weight and get up and not gain a pound.
I wish that was the case for me.
And he's up in. I call him Robin Hood because he lives in Nottingham.
Oh, there you go. Beautiful. New Hampshire's a beautiful state.
So New Hampshire's actually how even Nick got brought into it, going back to your childhood with Justin's wife, Katie.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I mean, what is everybody defecting from New Hampshire to come down here to hang out with Rich?
Well, the problem is, like, I'm a native of New Hampshire. Everybody was coming up to New Hampshire to escape this, right? But yeah, I met a lot of people, and that's what he's talking about is Justin, who I was with Justin and Katie when I was introduced to you at Two Brothers Pizza in Salem, Connecticut. We were out on
they're amazing
the
people.
Harleys. But Katie's family had a summer camp on the lake that I grew up on, and that's how I got to know Katie. And fast forward, 30 plus years, and we reconnect, and I meet her husband Justin, and they both ride Harleys, and we rekindled that friendship. And
we are truly connected by force. I'm certain of it, and it happens in the most, maybe some of the craziest and weirdest times, and you're like, how is this even possible?
Yeah.
Well, even going to Rob. I mean, Rob knew you as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
and his laugh, and I'm like, I know that guy. And then we started talking, and he's like, I've been over your house, Nick.
It's a small world.
I was like, holy cow! But it was his laugh that was distinctive.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
yeah, he did talk about your mom's cooking, and I think that's probably what transpired over into you. And he was like, you couldn't stop eating. She kept bringing out plate. That personally, I wish he was here to tell his own story about it, but nonetheless, it was. He did talk about your mom then, so it just goes to show your roots, Nick. At the end of the day, it just talks a lot about who you are and where you come from, and the fruit that you bear, and the fruit that your parents bear, I guess, is what it comes down to.
And Danielle just commented on the Facebook. She says your vibe attracts your tribe. And
holy smokes, that's awesome.
I couldn't say that, that you can't describe it any better than that.
It's important to like, even at work, it's like people coming into work for the first time. It's very simple. 2 rules: don't ever lie to me or steal from me. If you're a good person, it's about teamwork. There's no I in team. I'm one of the owners. I'm out there in the back, literally scrubbing pots and pans for 2 hours, running food, cleaning tables, cooking. What? At the end of the day, it's about the teamwork and getting the job done. So at the end of the night, everybody can leave at pretty much at the same time and have a good night.
Yeah. Nick, before we got opened up the podcast, we had some pre-talk or pre-game conversation, I guess you can call it, and we talked about leadership. And you talk about scrubbing pants. The military, I think, helps hone leadership in many ways. But there was time when we were in boot camp. I remember scrubbing toilets.
Oh yeah.
With what they called the Scotch pad. They called them green weenies.
Yeah, we call them our toothbrushes.
Pads. And with your hand, and you tell
No
that
gloves.
to people, they're like, yeah, no gloves. And meanwhile, there's 80 people using the latrines, right? So it's
yeah, but you only use the same one because you didn't want to have to clean all 9 of them. You all use the same one.
After you're done with the toilets, then you clean the sinks.
Right.
The
other side of the green weenie.
The point is that, look, a great leader is a great follower, and look, you're just dealing with the crap like everybody else, right? And to some people, they look at the person in the leadership role or the owner of the business as glorious. Look, you didn't do it for glory. You did it, as you said, because you were forced into it. And what a lot of people don't see when you own your own business is the behind the scenes, when everything else is gone home, everyone else has gone home, everything is quiet, and you're still there. They don't see that.
Yeah, always.
And that is the always, correct. I had a really good job before I went out on my own, and I could have taken the easy path. My bosses were shocked. My wife was shocked. I chose to get into my own entrepreneurial endeavor, and my parents thought it was stupid, and I can't say that I disagree with them in some aspects, but it just, there's something about that and maybe it's the freedom, right? We call it freedom, but you're actually, your time is taken up more, but it's the freedom of doing what you would rather do, right? I could have gone to work at
Yeah.
7 a.m., gotten out at 3:30, 3 o'clock,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
every day and had a 9 to 5 job type
Yeah.
of thing. And I chose something different. But you chose it, whether you say you were forced into it or not. Like
You
that's
know, it was
just a perspective.
Right. It's at a young age, you don't know any better. I mean, like, but there was a huge opportunity in it. I was learning a trade and becoming a business owner without even realizing it.
Yeah, but
And
if things go bad, Nick, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Which, okay,
And-
let's go to COVID.
Yeah.
What happened to your business during COVID?
So there was over 6,600 restaurant business of all denominations that completely went out forever in the state of Connecticut.
Wow.
From hot dog stands to snack shops to whatever. 6,600.
That's astronomical.
And then put all those surfers, cooks, managers, bartenders, all that lost their jobs. Half of them are not even in the restaurant business. So the restaurant business the food service industry took a huge crush. A lot of people relocated, got different jobs, whatever the case might be. For us, we were very fortunate because everybody that worked for us had an idea. So implementing different ideas, how to make the restaurant flow, the BS 6-foot rule, because you have an invisible barrier around you. But making things work. Some ideas worked, some didn't. But one of the things that did work, and because some of our trusted employees doing family meals. So, or like a half tray of food, whatever the case, with a salad, garlic bread for $40, right? Give your customer a fighting chance. They're already going through hell as it is. So are you. But instead of saying, "Oh, I can't make it," and just closing the door, you give up on your business. For me, I would have.
You don't have a choice.
No, you do it.
Right.
You find
Right.
a way to do it, even if you have to deliver the food on a bicycle.
Right.
I think that's where a lot of people just gave up. But and is it okay if I mention this person?
Yeah.
My friend, well, you met him. He was with us at the Manchester Road Race. Dick Daly. He worked for Harpoon at the, Brewing at the time. Now he's with Yangling. He would drop off cases of beer each week, and for free. And we would put them in buckets, and he goes, give them out to customers. Customers would wait outside inclement weather so they could come get our food. That's huge. So I would get buckets of beer or non-alcoholic drinks, and I would go out there and give everybody something to drink while they waited. Sometimes I bought the beer on my own, whatever the case might be.
Right.
Your customers are standing out there waiting for your food. That speaks magnitudes to me.
Oh, it's amazing.
So my brother and I did not collect a paycheck for almost 6 months.
Wow.
Our priority was to keep our business open and our employees paid.
These are the things that I was referring to
Yep.
just a minute ago.
And you know what? If you're going to survive, this is how you do it. You take care of the people that take care of you, and you take care of the community, and you feed people. Even if they didn't have money, I would have gave them the food. And that's how you not monetary prosper, but you prosper in the aspect that these customers, these people that work for you, friends, family, they help you go through the hardest of times over and over. And that's how you really prosper. That's how you get ahead.
Well, and that's really thinking outside of the box, and that's just goes to show you the side of you that's the giving person. So here you are, not taking a paycheck. You're selling food for probably weren't making a heck of a lot of money, but hopefully those are the types of things that people remember, and I think a lot of people do. And when they get back on their feet and they're able to come back into your restaurant and spend a couple extra dollars or tip a little bit extra to your staff or come back in and give back to the community or pay it forward, I know, like we've talked before, that's where you get the satisfaction. That's where you get the drive, and that's where you
Yes.
get the reward.
Our customers and community were amazing. They tipped generously for our staff. Instead of collecting from the state, we kept our employees working. Some people, they don't have the luxury of having a corporate job or XYZ. This is all they had. So that's their bread and butter. How do you lose that? You do the right thing.
Well, you gave up 6 months of your income, dude.
You do the right thing.
I don't listen. There's no disagreement from me on that. But I guess what I'm trying to draw out of this is the perspective of reality of what the leader, the owner, the fortitude of the leader, what that requires of a person. Right?
I've never told this live. You two are the first ones. There's a lot of people that don't know what happened behind the scenes. They see that a service was provided, people got a helping hand, but there was an instance that there was my wife actually, because she worked at Lawrence Memorial in New London at the time, and we wanted to raise some money, so we did a giant motorcycle drive. We met at Two Brothers parking lot on a Sunday. You've seen the parking lot, both of you. It was completely packed with motorcycles.
Wow.
It was $5 a head. All that money went into, we fed, because nurses were getting a lot of publicity and help through a lot of different organizations, people. But how about like maintenance department, or the people that clean the specialty tools, or the security, or housekeeping? They always get overlooked. So we made specifically, we would go to restaurants in the area, drop a whole bunch of money to help them at the restaurant, and feed these people and get some recognition. And that, my friend, happened 5 times. There's a lot people don't know.
And that's another example of thinking outside of the box, because I wouldn't have thought of that. You think of these people that are first responders or the first line medical care, but what comes to support that? So now these people are out of work as well.
Right. So. Back is, like having a little love spread in the universe and be like, thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah.
And helping restaurants that were struggling in the process.
Meanwhile, you're not making money. No. That's the reality of it. No. And you're still finding a way to extend that. At
a time when my parents and my ran the restaurants in the 80s, everybody helped each other. If you had a restaurant, you ran out of something. Hey, Nick, can I get a case of this? Absolutely. It had gotten lost for so many years.
So many.
But now it's resurrected with the new generation that has taken over their restaurants from their parents or bought restaurants. And it's good. I mean, like, I ran out of something. I call Family Pizza in Colchester, and they're like, Nick, whatever you want, I'll drop it off, or you come get it, and vice versa. That's being a good neighbor.
Right.
It's not about competition. I'm like, oh, you're taking food on my plate and vice versa. It's not about that. It's about helping people in your industry or your community or each other. That's it. It's that simple.
You crank him up 2 notches.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I have more beer, then I might really tell the truth about a lot of things.
All right, order up.
Just don't give me whiskey. It'll get ugly.
All right, so on that note, there is another mutual relationship between Rich and you. Rich, let's talk about the recent helo/airplane collision and the family out in Colchester.
Yeah, so that is one thing I did want to talk about. And, we had Flight 5342 out of Washington, D.C. The Black Hawk collided with that aircraft. And I want to talk about what you're doing to this, but before that, I want to honor Casey Crafton and the Crafton family.
Absolutely.
And the 67 other lives that were lost on that day. So I'd like to take a couple seconds and just give them a moment of silence. So that was some tough news to receive. Getting a little choked up right now.
Oh, I'm 100%.
But so Casey was in the aviation industry as are me and Eric. I personally knew Casey. I know that you know the Crafton family as well, Nick. And you guys, as a community down in Salem, you guys are really rallying around this family. He leaves behind a wife and 3 young children. It's a sad story, and I know you guys are doing a lot. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Actually, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Rachel and her three boys Thursday at the restaurant. I had contacted her. People have been very generous about giving gift cards. We're going to do a second part of the raffle in April, but there were specific ones just for her and her boys, just to, activities, shows, stuff like that, to get them even a couple hours apiece. So she came Thursday, and I heard one of her sons go, "I wish we could stay and eat," and that's all I needed. And I was like, if it's okay with Rachel, I'd love to have you guys as my guests tonight. Anything you want, free.
That's amazing.
And I shook each one of the boys' hands, and I told them my condolences. These kids are amazing.
Yeah.
They have more love and compassion in one finger than I have my whole body. And I held it all back I wanted to just start crying, but it wasn't fair to them. They've been through a lot.
Yeah.
And so during that transition, they're sitting down, having a good time. Rachel's mom and dad come in, not knowing that they were there. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, you should, there's somebody sitting over there in the corner. You should go see them. And they're like, huh? They walk over, and it was just a chain reaction of smiles and laughter. I put them in the corner table at the big, and I'm like, whatever you guys tonight, it is compliments of two brothers. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I've talked a little bit with Rachel over the last couple nights. Shared a song with her that did me a lot of good. Man, it gets choked up every time I talk about it. My best friend lost his life. And, I shared that with her. And she goes, I studied music. Music is my life. And I'm like, the power of music. There's certain songs or chords that really have helped me through it. And,
Yeah.
But so on March 8th, which is actually next week, my brother and I wanted to do something special for the town, incorporate the town's people. So both fire chiefs from Gardner Lake Fire Department, Salem Fire Department, and the local resident state troopers got together, and we came up with a possible fundraiser. It's Saturday, March 8th at Gardner Lake Fire Department. It's from 4 p.m. till it's gone. We, local restaurants, ourselves, have donated from bread to salad to pasta to we're making the sauce, and vice versa. Containers have been everything has been donated by so many different purveyors. Talk about community spirit and coming together and helping your neighbor. Yeah, we're expecting 600 covers. It's $15 for a meal. Make it affordable. You get something good, and in that process, it's not about just the money. It's about the compassion and the love of helping somebody, even if you don't know them. You can feel for them because most people have kids, and if you didn't, you can understand because you have a family. You came from a family, and but there's a second part of that down the road. We're going to do another one with just raffle prizes. I've had friends in the business that yesterday, Chris Coulter from $600 worth of wine and high-end bourbons to raffle off. It's people like that that have been so generous in giving their heart, not just the product, their heart, and trying to help a family out. Which this one, the next one, and at the end of the day, that's what it's about, community.
That instance, it's almost like 9/11 to me.
Yes.
Right? It was.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, man, it hits you right in the heart.
Yeah.
You can't see, you can't unsee what you saw on the TV that night. It was just so random, and it's wow. I don't know, and it wasn't until I think it was 2 days later that you said that you were like, hey, I happen to know one of the guys who happened to be in the aviation side.
Yeah.
Really. So.
Yeah, it was. It hit close to home. And accidents happen, and unfortunately, it is tragedies like this that it's where we typically see the best in people. which is it's a beautiful thing. It kind of helps ease the pain a little bit. It doesn't take it away.
No, it doesn't. I shared your story with me with Rachel about the honey. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep. And I told her who you were, and in full detail, and the power of that. Like you were trying to connect Casey to me. I mean, my brother and I have seen him over time with a family at the restaurant,
Right.
just making small talk. But
Yeah.
you actually personally knew him, and you were because of the honey, and we talked
Yeah.
about honey,
Yeah.
and you were trying to connect him to me, and to actually me. And he goes, Nick, he loves your restaurant. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, he did because I had asked him. I had met you, you know, and so the story is, like I mentioned, Casey was in aviation. I'm also in aviation, and I didn't know him well. I've met him a handful of times, and we've had very pleasurable interactions. He's a great guy. You know, you get that first impression of people, and you can tell pretty much right off the bat whether it's out. The audio's out right now.
Well, I think he. So I asked to turn him up because of that. But I think what's happening is one, there's an emotional aspect to it.
Well, let me pause this.
I think that the mic, because he's talking softer, and so I was going to say something with regards to that, but there's something.
Yeah, the whole thing's it's over. Let me we'll get this fixed. Hold on.
Where did it break off at, Rihanna? I don't know where that was. Yeah, I want to know where that's broken off at.
Because that thing's on Bluetooth.
Yeah. Can anybody hear us at all right now?
I don't know.
Oh. I just told them to stand by.
Yep, I just. That stinks.
It's just can just barely hear you guys. Like it's not coming through any of the mics.